So Jaxson Dart has been announced as the starter for the New York Giants. They are moving on from Russell Wilson as their long-term quarterback for the rest of 2025, and they're going with the rookie. So here I'm going to give my thoughts, really just some expectations, and even some long-term thoughts on what this move is going to entail, and really even what it could mean for Dart's career as well. I'd say that I'm pretty indifferent to this decision. I don't think it's necessarily coming at a bad time, but I won't lie, like I wasn't a little shocked to see that it was happening in week 4. Going into the season, I knew that Dart would play at some point. You don't draft a quarterback in the first round in 2025 just to not play him at all, unless you're like the occasional team here and there. But really, it just doesn't happen much anymore. And I'm usually the type that is like, hey, start him from day one. Start him from day one. But I'm kind of dialing that back a little bit, as we've seen now with a couple quarterbacks. McCarthy looked like, again, it's very early sample size, but he looks like he benefited a little bit from being on the bench. I'm trying to think of some other guys. I mean, Drake May was on the bench for a little bit. It's not like he started immediately. There's other people that I would have to think about that are not coming to my mind right now, but still. I don't think this is necessarily the worst move, but I honestly thought, though, that Russ or Jameis Winston, regardless of whoever was going to be starting and potentially playing, that I thought that they would be maybe, going to maybe mid-season-ish. I didn't think the Giants were number one going to be starting the season 0-3. Now, I still thought they were going to be bad, but I didn't think it was going to look this bad. Also, again, I just didn't think they were going to throw the kid in the fire this early. But it makes sense. It makes sense why they're doing it. I mean, again, Daboll and Schoen are on such a thin leash right now with both the fan base and the organization, and honestly probably the locker room as well, that you have to go with this move to save your job. It's quite literally the last thing that they can hang their hats on. Oh, we drafted this quarterback, we're going to build him up. If that doesn't work out and they don't start winning games, there's quite literally nothing else that they can tell ownership and really give them a real reason to keep their jobs. Obviously, they are not winning games. They are not developing good players. You let Saquon Barkley walk. There's just so many things that haven't gone their way. So I think this is their last straw. This is their last move that they really can go for. So I don't blame them for doing it. I'm not shocked. But again, I didn't think it was going to be coming in week 4. It was a little early in my opinion. But still, I'm not against it either. So now, is this good for the New York Giants, and is this good for Jaxson Dart? Let's start with the New York Giants. I would say yes, this is good for the New York Giants. There's a couple reasons. Number one, this game is going to be played at MetLife this weekend against the Chargers. That's going to give the fans a little bit more juice, even though this team's 0-3 and they have not been good for a very long time. If you see a young quarterback, slinging the ball around and especially at home, that's going to give your fan base juice. It's going to give your team juice. And it's really going to get the fan base back into the product. I think Giants fans are almost desensitized at this point of just used to the losing. Every single Giants fan I've talked to in real life, it's the same story. It's just, man, we suck. What's there to expect? Oh, there's so-and-so player I'm excited about, but there's really no expectations. It's a lifeless fan base right now. And I think him starting is going to give them some juice, and it's going to be some much-needed juice because, again, how can you be excited about going into the season with Russell Wilson as your quarterback in 2025? Just not much to be excited about there. It's no slight against Russ. It's just being realistic. But I do think this is a good thing for the Giants. Obviously, again, it gets the fans excited. And number two, from an organizational standpoint, you're saying, okay, does this kid actually have it? Does he have what it takes to be an NFL quarterback? Now, again, this is a rookie year. He's not even starting week 1. He's kind of being thrown into the fire. But still, you're seeing, can he get the basics down? Can this kid actually throw at an NFL level? Can he read NFL defenses? This is at least going to tell us some things. So I think from an organizational standpoint, there's really nothing to be against here. Your only worry if you're the Giants is, will this, in a way, actually mess up his development? Was it too early starting him? Is the situation so bad that it's going to negatively impact his development it's going to train him to have certain bad traits, whether it's being a little too, what's the word? I don't know how to explain this, but pretty much just a little too antsy with his feet. Like, is he not going to get his mechanics down? Is he going to be almost anticipating pressure from getting hit so much that he's going to be getting rid of the ball a little too early, kind of like Tua? Is there going to be a certain situation like that? I'm not sure, But overall, I do think it's a positive for the Giants. Again, it gives you something to sell to the fans, and overall, it's just, something to actually look forward to. They haven't had this feeling since, I think, 2019 with Daniel Jones, and even then, it was pretty much the similar situation. I mean, the Giants were still not a good team. Pretty much are in the same situation they're in right now. So not much has changed, but again, it gives the fans something to look forward to, and you at least see if your quarterback is potentially built for the NFL long term. Now, for Jaxson Dart, I think it's a mixed situation if this is actually good for him or not. Yes, again, of course it's good for you because you're getting your first start in the NFL. You only had to wait till week 4. Obviously, any competitor, any player is going to want to have this opportunity. And this kid, I'm sure, knew deep down, yeah, I'm going to start at some point this season. It's really just when. Obviously, it was a crowded quarterback room again with both Winston and Russ, but let's be real, none of these guys were going to start long term. They're just not starting NFL quarterbacks at this point. And again, you don't draft a guy in the first round to not start him at some point. So I'm sure the kid knew that he was going to be playing at some point during this season. I'm sure he's excited from a personal standpoint. Again, it's one of the biggest moments, if not the biggest moment of your career so far. So plenty to be happy about there. But when we look at it from a football perspective, a football standpoint, I have mixed thoughts because number one, this situation is not good. It's not good. This offense is not good. It's one of the worst in the NFL, and it has been for the last couple years. Brian Daboll was supposed to be this quarterback whisperer because he, got Josh Allen to develop. That's all great and dandy, but other than that, he has not done much. It obviously did not work with Daniel Jones. We're seeing what he can actually do in a real competent NFL offense. So what makes me think it's actually going to be, pretty solid with Daboll now that he just has another quarterback? I don't know. I don't really necessarily anticipate much. Number 2, Malik Nabers is dealing with a shoulder injury. I'm not sure if he's even going to play on Sunday. So you're already going to be down arguably your best, well, not arguably, your best receiver, but one of the better young receivers in the NFL. That's never great. And number 3 is, again, the offensive line, which has been a problem for pretty much my entire life as an NFL fan. For the New York Giants, it's just something they've never been able to get down. And already in 3 games, they have 7 sacks given up. I wanted to find more about their pressure rate, but I just could not find the statistics on the internet without having to pay, and I'm not doing that. So we're going to be going off sacks. But obviously, I'm sure the pressure rate is decently high. It's New York Giants. So, yes, you're going into a tough situation. It's going to be tough, but again, I guess there is a little bit of a positive as well as in a really, really bad way. There's no expectations. Again, this team is 0-3. This is realistically Daboll and Schoen's last year. You're kind of just going out there and letting it fly, just see if you can bring some juice to the team, to the fan base. But overall, I still think that it's a mixed situation. Again, you get to get your reps in, but it's going to be tough because you're really not playing with much, if at all, of a supporting cast, and you're going against arguably one of the best NFL defenses in the NFL right now. And again, it's only going into week 4, but we'll have to see, how this season goes. But right now, the Chargers defense looks elite. It looks really, really good. You're going against a 3-0 team, a team that is now in their second year under Jim Harbaugh, that is only going to become more competent with his system. It's a tough challenge. It's definitely a tough challenge out of all teams to play in your first start. At least it's in New York. But, man, going against that defense, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but I think there's still some things for Jaxson Dart to at least hold his head high on. Now, this is more directed at the New York Giants. And this is just how I think. This is a philosophy thing that I believe in. Why? And this is about Dart technically because it's the quarterback they selected, but this could have literally been for any quarterback they picked in the draft this year or the year prior or whatever. It just could be any quarterback they're bringing into this situation. Why do you draft a quarterback in the first round when you're realistically firing the head coach and the GM that are going to that selected him, and realistically both of them are not going to be back next year? The way it's looking, I don't see how Daboll survives this season unless they completely turn it around or Dart has a very, very good season to finish the 2025 year. I don't see it. I mean, again, Daboll obviously has shown, other than in 2022, where they still, I think, only went 9-8, they haven't really done anything. He hasn't done anything. They've actually underperformed, and they've continued to go backwards every single year since that year. Joe Schoen, again, has missed out on a ton of talent, has not made the correct pick numerous times. Let Saquon Barkley walk. Now, Daniel Jones is gone. Again, not saying that you needed to keep him, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's just not a lot of good things. It just has been a rough year for him, especially after that Saquon Barkley clip from Hard Knocks as well. Just not a good year for him. And again, I look at the New York Giants here when I say this. Why did you draft a quarterback if realistically both these guys are going to go? And the reason I say that is, realistically, you guys can come back to this video in what, February, March, wherever. I don't even know how long it's going to take for them to get a quarterback and a GM, or a head coach and a GM into the building. But you're going to now have to sell your head coach, again, hypothetically, if Daboll and Schoen get fired, you're going to have to sell a head coach and a GM to buy in on Dart, a quarterback that they did not invest in. And I think this only shortens Dart's leash long term. Because these guys, the next guys coming into this building have not drafted him. They did not actually want this guy. They might like him. They might think they can fix him. But he's not their pick. They're not tied to him. They were just given him. You know? It's kind of like right now with Ben Johnson with Caleb Williams. Obviously, I think he's there because of Caleb Williams. But if, shit hits the fan in a couple years with Caleb Williams, I'm sure Ben Johnson could be whispering in the Bears front office ear like, hey, I didn't even pick this guy. Get him out of here. Like it's just like you're not tied to the guy. It's not your guy. And I just think, for me personally, if I'm an owner, I'm not going to have a regime that is on its way out draft a quarterback, such a high investment player, and then realistically you're going to fire them. I think it just creates such a bad situation for both your future head coach and GM and your current quarterback. It's just a thing, in my opinion, that I believe in. It just makes things easier. There's no question of, do you actually really want this guy long term or not? It's no, we brought in the head coach, we brought in the GM, and they drafted the quarterback both in their first year. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone is tied together. But this just makes things harder. Again, Dart's going to have to now realistically learn another playbook in a year. There's just so many little things that go into it. And I just don't understand why NFL franchises continue to do this. Because for me, it personally is just dumb. I don't think it's a great idea, and it usually doesn't work out. So my question again for the New York Giants is, why do you do this? Why would you do this when you know realistically, Daboll and Schoen are going to be on their way out? If this was your plan, I would have been fine with drafting Dart, but get a new quarterback and get a new GM. Then you have all this stuff avoided. And now we look at it with hindsight and 2020 vision. The Giants are 0-3, which obviously most people expected them to be pretty bad with this schedule as well. But why not just fire these guys and get this stuff done and then get everyone on the same page in the quarterback that you draft? I just don't get it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Are you excited for Jaxson Dart to start for the Giants? Do you think he'll do good? Do you think he'll not do good? Do you think this is going to potentially impact his development long term, either in a positive or a negative way? Please let me know in the comments. I will definitely be looking out for those if anyone does. And if you like this video, feel free to give me a like. If you like my type of content, feel free to subscribe. We're going to be continuing to break down the NFL every single week with either big stories or big games. Just depends on whatever I'm feeling. And if you're interested in any of my short-term content, that is in my TikTok down below in the description. And if you made it this far, I really, really appreciate it. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace, guys.